Oh, we are here with the Business Can Be Better vodcast and podcast. It'll be a podcast later. Right now, it's a live vodcast. I'm here with my good friend Munib Shahid, and he's going to be teaching us how to grow our business, thinking beyond the website and digital experience. The reason for this podcast is to help business owners and leaders become better at financial mastery, become better at leadership, and of course, become better at sales and marketing. So, Munib is a great find to have on the podcast, and we sort of met in a really cool, serendipitous way twice. So I figured it was a sign, and so he's here, and he's going to introduce himself. And forgive my ignorance with Restream. It's only my second time streaming with it. I might need a minute here to check and make sure things are working on the other end. But for now, Munib, can you please introduce yourself to everybody who's listening or watching right now? Tell us a little bit about yourself, or a lot.
Thank you very much, Kelly Ray. It's a privilege to be on the show here, and also a privilege to be your second Restream guest. It's really exciting. I haven't tried a live podcast myself yet on my own podcast, so it's going to be something that I'm definitely going to be trying on my end as well. But it's a pleasure to be here. A little bit about my background. I run a website design and digital marketing agency known as 2Web. We craft engaging digital experiences that drive high performance for our businesses that we deal with, and we also work a lot with creating high performance websites, as well as focusing on solutions that drive business growth. So ultimately, our focus has always been to help entrepreneurs become successful online and help them achieve their goals. And I started this company back about 18 years ago with a vision to help 10,000 entrepreneurs achieve success online. Now, we've barely scratched the surface of that vision, but I have to say the journey has been absolutely incredible. I've gotten a chance to engage with some wonderful entrepreneurs, wonderful organizations, and we've dealt with over 700 clients in the past 18 years. So,
wow. Amazing. 18 years. That's a long time in business.
It definitely is. I mean, it's before the days of social media, when the concept of online advertising was just in its infancy. And basically, there was a lot of education to just have business owners think about even having a website, because they were traditionally very static pages and so forth. And then also over time, we've evolved as an agency, not just developing website and web-based solutions, but also doing digital marketing services and helping them promote their services online too. So.
Amazing. So didn't you also have a new addition to your family recently?
I did actually, yes. We welcomed a baby boy just a few weeks ago here, and yeah, it's it's
Getting
been an
any
exciting.
sleep?
I'm sorry.
Getting any sleep?
No, not very much actually. So this, I think the first 2-3 months are always a little bit hectic, and we're just trying to get used to this new schedule. And I was actually awake till 4 a.m. this morning here today, but I made it here today, so I wanted to make sure that I'm present for your podcast. So
Thank you. And you seem awake. You seem like you're doing well.
it's it's about the caffeine content that I have in my body right now. So
Perfect. I'm gonna
caffeine and sugar.
Yes. People always understand during a live. We're just gonna take a really quick second to make sure that this is streaming on your LinkedIn as well, because I don't want people to miss you live. So do you want to I'm gonna pull up LinkedIn and just go look at your profile quick, because I want to make sure that the people that you told about this can actually get to see you. And like I said, my Restream ignorance is real. Let's see.
Yeah,
Here.
sure. If there's a link that you need me to share, I can certainly do that.
Yeah, I was hoping that would happen, but I don't see a link on Restream to share right now. That always happens when you're running late and trying to hop on. Okay, here we are. So I reshared a post and tagged you in it. And I believe the stream is there. Do you want to go see if you can share that on yours so that your followers can see you?
Yeah, I see it on the event there. So I can just add you here. Oh, there we go. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. It
Yeah?
looks like we're connected. So,
Perfect. Okay. Back to the program.
yes.
Awesome. Okay. So you wanted to talk about growing your business, thinking beyond the website and digital experience. Now, are we talking about Web 3.0 and NFTs and DAOs, or are we talking about more traditional types of marketing? Like, what did you mean by that title? Let's just unpack the title. I think I'd love to hear more of what you wanted to teach people today.
Yeah, I think it's very important. Whatever you're investing in when it comes to online marketing or any type of marketing, you have to think about what exactly is the goal, is the end goal that you're trying to achieve. And I'm a big believer that, yes, we do design pretty and amazing websites, but the fact is that that is not what really cuts it. You have to think beyond that. You have to really think about how people are engaging with the content that you are
Mhm.
publishing on the digital channels on your website, but also how that user journey looks like when people are engaged with that content, and ultimately having those prospects reach out to you as leads and ultimately converting those leads into actual customers. That's really what impacts the bottom line of any business. So for that purpose, you have to really think about it beyond just the website
Mhm.
and think about it as a tool to help nurture those prospects to the point where you're establishing enough rapport so that you are creating a relationship with them. And that does require some time. It allows you to incorporate effective systems so that you can do the effective outreach when necessary, and ultimately keep your prospects engaged.
Awesome. Okay, so let's get more specific. Are we going to talk about maybe some cases without mentioning names, or how are we going to teach the business leaders that are listening today? Like, or
Yeah, definitely.
yeah, okay, go ahead.
Well, certainly, yeah. So basically, we can talk about the different building blocks that you need to be aware of when it comes to creating an effective system
Okay.
that translates into ongoing business. So, for example, your website is the front-facing presence that you have for your business or organization. So when people are googling you online, what is it that they're actually typing in for search? You have to understand what exactly those keywords and key phrases are, and ultimately that's when, depending on whether they're aware of your organization or business or not, they're typing in phrases that are related to your brand or not related to your brand. They may be looking for a service or product that you're selling. So the first step there is to be able to be found online based on the keyword specific searches that your target audience is entering in Google or any other search engine.
And so how
Um,
do you find those? I want to ask the questions that people are probably thinking. Are we using Google Console?
Yeah. So, I mean, you definitely want to be utilizing the Google Search Console to do the analysis and identify the key phrases that you want to be targeting and optimizing for.
Okay.
You also want to be making sure that you have the right content assets on your website that
Mhm.
represent that kind of information. So when people do click on your website, they find relevant information that is useful to them, that basically answers their questions, and ultimately allows them to come back to your site with more relevant content when necessary. So those are the kinds of things that you have to think about from a strategic perspective when you're trying to align your online experience with the user journey. You also have to keep in mind that a lot of times you come across businesses that don't have their Google business profile optimized. And that's a very simple thing that any business can do for free, where you can actually spend a little bit of time optimizing your Google business profile, making sure it has relevant content, relevant information, relevant times that you're open, for example, and utilizing it to the most so that you can provide the most up-to-date information and then ensure that it links to your website in a prominent fashion. So, Google business profiles are great for also establishing credibility online, where you can collect reviews. And at the end of the day, we have to think about what is it in Google's best interest when they're driving traffic to a business or organization. They want to make sure that the individual who's searching the key phrase is being forwarded to an organization that is credible, that is established, that has a good reputation. So
And
you have
answer
to make sure
their
that you.
question, right?
That's right.
Right.
That's
So
right.
I'm gonna slow you down probably a little bit during the conversation, just for people, because I come across a lot of business owners who just by this point would be like, what's a Google business profile even, But I also work with people who know everything so far that we've talked about, right? And so there's a wide range of entrepreneurs and leaders that listen to the podcast, and we teach marketing so that everyone can understand it. So just before we move on, for people who are wondering about what the Google profile is, it's almost like another social media platform. It is. And you need to make sure that you have your business listed on Google. If you didn't create it on purpose, Google probably created it for you, because Google wants to be able to answer the questions the best, right? That people type in. So you need to find your listing and then claim it, and then you can update it and add all these relevant information pieces that Munib was talking about. And I was just telling someone today, I don't care about your Instagram. I don't care about Twitter, whatever. What I want you doing is get that Google listing, get it up to date, get some positive reviews with comments, post on it every week, link it to your website, post on your website every week. There's so much people can do for free to get noticed online or to connect with people who are looking for them online. And Google is at, I'd say, the heart of that, most of that, right? Google and the website.
That's right. That's right. And I think that, once you're actually utilizing Google tools, you have to understand Google gives you these brownie points when you're utilizing their tools to help optimize your presence online. So by incorporating an effective Google business profile and having a prominent link to your site, it actually helps you drive more traffic to your website and also be found online. And ultimately, it's a matter of, when people are coming across your website, how are you actually tracking their activity? So you want to make sure you're providing them the relevant content, and also measuring what kind of engagement that content is getting. Because if people are not really spending time on your website and engaging with the information that you have there, then it sends off a signal to Google that your content is probably not relevant for that phrase, or you may not have a quality website. So over time, then you can experience a drop in your rankings if that is the case. But the goal is to always continue to optimize your content, look at those engagement levels, how much time people are spending, how quickly your content loads. That also has a profound impact in terms of user experience.
And what's
So
the
those
easiest
are
way for someone to test that on their website? Isn't there like
so
a
the easy,
speed site?
yeah, exactly. So a very quick tool that you can use, it's free to access, is called GTmetrix. It's a tool that we use for analyzing websites. And you can actually go there and type in any website URL or link, and then essentially it'll do an analysis as far as how quickly your website loads on different speeds, as well as what are some of the ways that you can optimize speed on your website too.
Awesome. There's so many great free tools available out there. And I'm thinking about like my mom, for example. She's an entrepreneur as well, and has been like my whole life. And I guess that's where I got it. Thanks, Mom. But I could just see her right now being like, Kelly, no, I just need you to take my phone and do it. But really, I just want to mention, for anyone who's feeling overwhelmed, don't, because anything that we tell you here today, you can literally type it into Google, how to do this, how to test the speed of my website, how to set up my Google business listing, how to optimize my Google business listing. So not only do we do these vodcasts and podcasts, we do a blog every single week. And Munib, I'm sure you put out a ton of great content as well on LinkedIn. And guys, just don't put your hands up and be overwhelmed. That's my request. You can figure this out. You can do it. And when we're talking about business development and growth, and you said thinking beyond the website and digital experience, you said the metric that matters most are the engagement and conversions. I love that you mentioned that, because so many people think that having millions of followers is the key to millions of dollars. And it's so funny how not true that is. I've seen or I've not seen, I've met, worked with, had strategy sessions with a lot of people who had like millions and millions of followers, but not very many dollars. And then I've worked with lots of people who are like, what's an Instagram? But they're doing, $1 billion in sales. So there's so much opportunity in between, around. It depends on, where your ideal clients are, right? Or what you're selling. You don't have to have a huge social media following to make a lot of money. And what do you think about that? Do you agree or disagree?
I mean, I agree absolutely. You have to understand where your audience is and you have to tap into that potential. Now, the fact is that your audience is on social channels. Whether you engage with them or not is a different story, right? There are ways to engage with your audience on social channels. And, it's a matter of also what kind of brand you have, what kind of service or product you deliver, but also what perception do you want to give out as a company. So I think there's a lot of different factors that actually end up defining your social media or digital marketing strategy. But at the end of the day, you have to go where your audience is, and you have to make sure that you're speaking in your audience's language.
Okay. So how do they do that?
So certainly it's a matter of evaluating and first of all doing what we call as a customer journey map. So you look at all those different touch points that a potential customer, if you're a business and you're selling services or products, you have to think about, okay, what are the different criteria that your target audiences use for making a decision on your service.
Okay.
And again, it starts right from search and the research that they're doing online, and what are the phrases that they're actually typing in. So ultimately, I'm a big believer that you need to, the education is the best form of marketing. So you have to basically create content that is relevant to answer the questions that your audience has. So if you have specific questions that normally your customers ask you, it's a great idea to have that content on your website, either in a blog format or on a frequently asked questions page, whatever the format may be. But you want to make sure that you're addressing those questions on your website and those pages are being found online when they're typing in those questions. So by creating the right relevant content, you're addressing questions that they have, and then ultimately you have to make sure that you are establishing a rapport with your audience. So often what's going to happen is when users find out about your business, they're not going to transact with you right away. Studies have shown that it takes, I think, 7 to 11 times before they actually type in or connect with your business afterwards or reach out to you once they've known your brand.
Once they know your brand, I was like, I thought it was 30 touches or impressions before they take a step towards purchasing. So that fits. It's a different part of the journey there. Once they're aware of you.
It depends on industry. It depends on the different social channels as well, because you have to also understand that social media platforms, there's a lot of distractions out there as well, right? So they're being pulled in all these different directions. So when people, and this is what I love about what about Google, is that when people are actually searching something, they're actually intending to find relevant results based on the content that they're actually searching for. So they're actively seeking the information that you have to present to them. But on social media, it's a different approach altogether. You have to be careful about how you're actually creating content on social media, and that is more related to awareness. And also, you can actually utilize social media platforms very actively for conversions as well if you're creating content that is promoted. So there's many different facets. There's many different ways in how you can actually convert users, but it's a matter of how you approach your strategy.
Okay, so what are some examples?
So an example would be, let's say if there's a business that, let's take a quick example of an accounting service, for example. So they offer accounting services, accounting solutions to other businesses, and they're a local provider in a certain city. So what great information to have on their website in a blog format to offer advice and insights about how businesses can save through their services, how they can have effective tax policies implemented so that you can actually pay less tax and ultimately make use of the benefits that are out there. Mm-hmm. So that's a great way to, again, educate your audience. And ultimately, when businesses are coming across that content, not only are you informing them and giving them insights about ways on how they can actually help reduce tax, but also you're establishing rapport with them. So next time they're actually looking for accounting services, they will more likely think about your business to reach out to. And there's the law of reciprocity there, right? If you help give out information and you help a business, chances are they will reach out to you as well if you're giving away information. And I'm a big believer that you try to give out as much as possible. When we're working with clients, we're trying to educate them on pretty much everything that we can do for them. And at the end of the day, they can actually, take what they've learned and go and execute themselves. But also it's a matter of, how effectively they can execute it and so forth. So there's a lot of different factors there that we actually help our clients make their decisions. But at the end of the day, we want to make sure that we're helping them in the best way and give them the best guidance.
So when you're talking about focusing on growth and scaling and thinking outside the website and digital experience, what did you mean by that? I feel like everything we've talked about today so far has been digital and website.
That's right.
Yeah.
So the thing is that the journey goes beyond the website. It's a matter of, okay, now that a user has established rapport with your business, they want to transact with you, or they at least want to know a little bit more about your services. And this is where a lot of businesses unfortunately fail, because they're not really well structured in the follow-ups, or they don't have timely follow-ups. And we can know this by knowing that, okay, if you look at many businesses and the CRMs that they're using, a lot of businesses still don't have effective systems or databases in place to follow up with customers, to manage their leads that are coming in, and ultimately make sure that there's good conversions that are actually happening. So I'm a big believer that you have to track those metrics in order to be effective. And ultimately, what you should be doing is the people that are coming on your website, you need to make sure that you are able to convert those prospects into potential leads that are interested in doing business with you, and then have a system in place to follow up with those leads so that you are able to close that business. And this has to be done in a very, very timely fashion.
Yes.
And you must have a system in place to be able to do the nurturing that is required to close those deals.
Okay, so you've said a lot of really important things really quickly. I talk really fast too, and a lot of people are always like, whoa, one question at a time. So I want to unpack that a little bit. So we're talking about people that come to your website, first of all, rather than, well, we've already talked about how to get them to the website with relevant blogs that answer the questions that your ideal customers are typing into Google, for example, right? As one example. So let's say that we've got 1,000 people coming to the website every month, and now we want to talk about turning them into leads. And so you're saying that there needs to be a system integrated with the website, or the website needs to have a widget that does that automatically follows up with people?
Yeah, most websites, they have standard contact forms that collect the information and then email them to an email address.
Yes.
And that's fine, but unfortunately what happens is that there's potential opportunities there that can be lost, because it's not a very organized way of gathering information as well as tracking those opportunities. So what we advise is that have some sort of a CRM, or customer relationship management system, that connects with your website. And ultimately, as soon as somebody fills out a form on your website or contacts you through the website, it basically feeds in that information in your database. And it allows you to track that lead over time until they actually become a customer, and then ultimately use that system further to offer the additional services that you have to offer.
Okay.
So
we have that. So this is good. Sometimes when people come on, I'm like, oh no, I don't have that. So I'm following you so far. Totally agree with you. And anyone who submits a form or downloads a lead magnet, which would be like a free white paper, or like right now we're giving away, how to 5x your productivity. We're going to create starting a new business video, small short course, but people will give their email to you in exchange for something valuable. And then their email address, the way that they found you, because we use little UTM links, right? In different places. So if it's not the web, like how did they get to the website? So all this information, how they got to the website, their name, their email, hopefully their phone number. We try to get their phone number. We usually get it, unless people put a fake phone number. It should automatically go into the CRM. And then what you were talking about is the follow-up. And I'm really excited about this part because I am constantly telling people that follow-up is a service. And if you're authentic and you know that you are what's best for this potential client and you are really good at what you do, like I try so hard not to come across as arrogant or conceited, but I know I am the best at what I do. And so when I find a person who I know I can help, I follow up a minimum of 5 times. Well, our team does, our system does. I consider it a service, and I consider it a disservice to not inform a business owner or leader what we can do for them. And it would be the same for you in your case. If you see a business and you're just like, oh my goodness, you're trying to have dinner or something and you can't stop analyzing like the lack of organization or lead capture or brand consistency. I don't know if you're like me, but when you have business for a long time or a few businesses, your brain just never stops. But follow up. So follow up. A long time ago, I heard Grant Cardone, who I'm not a fan of, but I'll take this one stat from him: 5 to 12 follow-ups. That's the sweet spot. Between 5 and 12 follow-ups, 84% of sales are done between the 5th and 12th follow-up. And today, I called a lady and she said, "Thank you for calling me back." And I said, "I'm really glad you said that because we would have followed up a minimum of 5 times because we know how busy everybody is and we consider it a service." And she's like, "Oh my goodness, 5 times." And I was like, "Yeah, and I'm going to teach you to do that too." She's like, "Oh, 5 times, and they think it's crazy. But how many times have you needed something? Let's say you needed something to make this big dinner that you're having for your family next weekend, and you went into Instacart or whatever. I hate Instacart too, actually. I'm being very negative today. I don't hate anyone. I just don't like Grant Cardone's tone of voice sometimes, or sexist comments sometimes. But I don't really know him, so I'm just going to take that whole thing back. That's the problem about live, eh? It's out there in the world. So I just didn't have a good experience with Instacart. But let's say you go to Instacart, you put all the stuff in the cart, and you forget to check out. And they don't have an automated reminder of hey, you forgot this in your cart, or hey, we saw you look at this on our website, but you never followed up. I'm not going to be making I'm going to be missing the most important spice for the meal next weekend when my family shows up, sort of thing, And it's oh, thank goodness they sent me that email reminder. And it's the same with business coaching clients. It's the same with people who need us to help them with their foot pain in our orthopedic clinics. It's the same with your clients. I'm sure they're like, oh, every night I'm lying awake thinking I need a marketing expert, and I never take action because I'm just so busy all day. So following up is a service, and you can't give up at one follow-up. Put your ego away, listen to Grant Cardone just for that one time, and realize that it's going to take you 5 to 12 follow-ups to get most of the people across the finish line. And it's a service. It's a service to them to remind them, because we're so distracted nowadays. Do you agree?
I agree. I mean, the thing is that there's gold in the follow-up, and we have to understand that it's also how we do the follow-up. Now, you're talking about when people leave or they download a lead magnet or any information from the website, or they contact you through the website, there's an automated sequence of messages that go via email. And this is pretty standard in today's world that you get. Unfortunately, it's so standard that people are now, they don't pay attention to that. And we live in a very distracted world as well. So we get distracted by little things. And often, we may not even remember what that email is about. So nothing beats a phone call. Picking up the phone and giving them a call and really asking them about what it is that made them reach out to you. And also what we're finding it to be really effective is by utilizing text message marketing. So text message follow-ups.
Yes. 96% open rate?
That's right. Yeah. It's
crazy, huge. Right? Why are we emailing?
Exactly. If you look at emails, almost 30%, less than 25-30% open rate now. Still better than social media, but it's a matter of how can you actually increase that response rate? And when you send out a text message, 90% plus more than ever, people are going to be able to see that message. Exactly.
Unless you have inherited from the Prince of Arabia fortune, and you need to click here to claim it. Those ones I don't tend to click on, or the fake
Right.
CRA ones. But we got to back up a second, because we're living in the land of everyone has email funnels and everyone does this.
Yes.
But a lot of people are like, what? Automatic email funnels when somebody goes to my website? So I am following you and I want you to keep going, and I'm loving what you're teaching us. And I definitely am making a note right now on my weekly strategic meeting about text messaging, because I don't want to forget that next week when we're doing our strategic planning. But some people out there don't have a lead magnet or something on their site that's prominent where people will give us their cell phone number or email so that we can follow up. So people, that is something that if you're listening and you're not collecting emails and phone numbers and names, get something of value that you could trade for that email and that cell phone number, because you need to be contacting these people. There's so much money on the table if you're not doing that. So looking at your Google Analytics and seeing, 1,000 people came to my website this month. Great. You can't get a hold of any of them, So if you don't have a lead magnet and you don't have an email funnel set up or a text automation set up, guys, look at that. And yes, you can just Google it, or actually follow Muneeb and ask him on his LinkedIn. You answer all your LinkedIn questions, right? You're not too big time.
I try to.
Are you? Oh,
I try to.
Try to. Okay, well, ask me and I'll tag Muneeb in it. He'll answer.
Yeah, I mean, the fact is that again, different behaviors depending on your industry, right? So you may not have a lead magnet. That is one of the strategies. There's other ways you can actually facilitate the ability to be able to collect email. I mean, a lot of websites are now using live chat options.
Yeah.
You can use a chat bot. I mean, I don't particularly like chat bots per se, which are designed for just collecting the lead and not answering any questions. You must offer value.
That's why
so ideally, if there's a live person, then yeah. So I think it's really important to have some sort of service that you can actually offer as a result of them, being able to share their personal information. And I find that lead magnets do work well. Again, there's many different kinds of lead magnets you can create. Some work better than others. So it's really important to try out these different models, see what works well for your industry, and look at some big players and see what they're actually doing online, so that you can model their strategies in your business.
Yeah, I really like that. I like that a lot. So what do you do on your website to collect leads, and how do you know that they're going to be good leads?
Yeah, I mean, we utilize a live chat bot as well, where we actually direct them to 3 different departments that we have in our company: sales, service, as well as our support. And we want to make sure that we are basically not just using the live chat for sales, but it's mainly also there for support. So if someone has a question about any service or any issues that they might be experiencing, or any upgrades that they would like to get done on their site, we're able to interact with them live and address their questions. But I find that we are also we've started incorporating text message marketing in our business as well, and that has been a game changer. So it's really a matter of how can you actually reach your audience in a way where where they're not distracted. And if you send out an email, keep in mind they have over hundreds of emails that are unopened in their inbox. It may get lost, or it may go into their spam. If you contact them on their social channels, it's probably going to get missed. But on via text message, it's not going to interrupt them if they're working on something else, but they can still get back to it if needed. So it's not as intrusive as a phone call, but it's just as intrusive when you're trying to get the message across. So,
I had one client. He was a brilliant engineer, really great business leader, runs a really successful business. He told me that getting an email feels more invasive than getting a text message. And this was like 5 years ago. And I was like, what? Do people actually think that way? But I know, like, in a lot of the businesses that I own, people don't want to give you their emails. But when you ask for the cell phone number, in case, to call them when their order arrives, and I'm talking brick and mortar business right now. But even online, when you ask for a cell phone number, for me, for example, if I'm going to download something from Brendan and it's like, enter your cell phone number here, for this free training on whatever, I probably am not going to put my correct number in there because I don't want a high performance coach to call me. Do you know what I mean? So like what percentage, I have so many questions. I have 2 more questions. So that I wanted to ask about your experience with how many people actually put in the right phone number. And then the second thing I wanted to ask about was, is your chat automation, is it all AI and it actually answers people's questions and gives value? And I forgot my
Yeah.
third question.
Okay, that's fine. We'll get to the third question right after. So, with regards to the first option, when it comes to email, the reason why people are reluctant in giving out email is because it gets abused a lot. We get so much spam, and sometimes we get riddled with so many follow-up emails that it seems like an invasion of our email, and that's why people are reluctant to give that out.
Yeah.
When it comes to text messaging, or when it comes to giving out your phone number, your mobile phone, people are expecting either a direct phone call or a text message. I mean, that's their expectation. And I think that, I believe that when you are putting your information, if it's accurate, then you are a serious prospect, right? It also depends on what level of user journey you're actually collecting that information. So, for example, for them to access a lead magnet or even download something on your website, you may not want to be collecting very personal information such as the phone number, or there's been studies that have been shown. HubSpot has released this where, interestingly enough, you have these gates when that you have to go through when you're downloading a lead magnet. But studies have shown that actually keep your lead magnet available without having a way to even collect the information, because what's happening there is that you're actually releasing the details. They still have your business information, and they can choose to contact you. So studies have shown that actually that proves to be a much more effective strategy today, because people are reluctant in giving out their information because they are afraid.
Are you contradicting the Brennan?
Well, I'm basically going by the statistics. So if you look at the downloads, yeah. So if you look at what the statistics are, and also depending on what your goals are, if your goal is to create more brand awareness and make sure that your users are accessing the right kind of content, quality content, keep it open. Don't have it guarded by a gate, because the fact is, I mean, here's a fact: you don't know what you're going to get on the other side of the gate until you put that information in, right? And if you look at the conversion rates right now, less than like 0.4% or less, right? I mean, when people are trying to fill out the information. So over 200 people that are visiting the website, you may get one person who's submitting the details. But if you compare that to 200 people visiting a page where they can download the information without having a gate, you're going to get a lot higher percentage of people downloading that information.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a known fact.
What about both? So like, what about, we have every week for the last 8 years, I've written a really valuable free blog.
Yeah.
And we have lead magnets.
Exactly. The thing is that you have to make sure that you're giving so much value where they feel okay and comfortable to give that information out.
Yeah.
Right. So it also depends on how much traction you want to get when you're actually releasing that information, because often what happens is when you put in your details and you download some information, it ends up not being as much value and depending on where you're downloading it from. So that's another way to tarnish your experience as well, is that if you're not giving as much value and they have to fill out this form to get to it. Yeah, so if they're downloading something, make sure it's worthwhile for them to actually download the content and then go through it.
Yeah. Like I always tell my clients, be the best, charge the most. And I mean that in every step, every conversation, every piece of like the process, product or service. So yeah, if you are giving away a lead magnet in exchange for that cell phone number, that's huge trust. And it better be the most exceptional free download that they can get. I think, sorry, I'm going to have to grab a Kleenex here. I have allergies. I'll be right back. But I think a lot of people nowadays, they don't even believe, like when we are like, we're doing this free call and how to succeed in business. They don't even believe that on that call, I'm going to teach them my best things to succeed in business. They just think I'm going to lead them on until the end and then be like, so if you pay me $10,000, I'll tell you those secrets. And I myself have watched so many of those that I'm so over it. But everything we put out is all the information. There's nothing held back. And we just have 3 rules for sales. Number 1, be authentic. Number 2, no attachment to the outcome. So if they buy, great. If they don't buy, great. We're never going to act differently. No high pressure sales here. And then number 3, make sure that it's in their best interests. So if we're not what's best for them, we won't try to offer them something. And I think that those 3 rules really help us feel comfortable. They help our potential customers and our customers feel comfortable. But how does that, do you have similar rules, and how could you incorporate that into automation and AI? And I can still hear you. I'm just going to be off the screen for a second.
For sure. So basically, when it comes to automation and AI, again, going back to the system that you're actually utilizing for managing that communication is going to be key. And there's many different kinds of platforms and systems out there. It's a matter of tracking that journey and also having those trigger points to see, okay, where is your audience or that individual in the user journey, and what exactly is the content that they're going to be interested in over time, and basically releasing that information to them on a regular basis. The key thing here. I'm sorry?
You're doing that through text now?
Yeah, definitely. We're utilizing text very actively, and again, keeping the option so that that channel is not abused. So you're not sending them multiple text messages on a daily basis. You're basically sending out text messages only when necessary, and also giving your users the option to stop those text messages whenever needed. That's really important.
Of course.
And
sorry.
The platform. Sorry.
Sorry. Anti-spam legislation that pertains to emails in Canada. Is there anything about texts?
Yeah, definitely. You have to make sure that you're abiding by those rules. I was going to mention right now that, we use a platform called Twilio, which integrates with many text messaging platforms. You can create a number. You can actually integrate that with multiple customer relationship management systems and offer text messaging services. So you have to make sure that you're abiding by the rules and also making it very easy for users to be able to stop those text messages as needed. So
I just text stop. I'm like, how do these people get my number? I just text stop. Does that usually work?
Depends if that's what the trigger is, but usually that is the trigger. Yeah.
Okay. And I remember my third question. I swear I saw Brendon Burchard say this somewhere or do this somewhere. Maybe it was something he tested and then he dropped, but Gary Vee was doing it for a long time. And then I stopped following him. I'm not sure if he's still doing it, but it was like the text me thing. And it was like the way they were portraying it was like you could text Gary Vaynerchuk and he would answer you, which obviously it's not going to happen. He's not going to text back billions of people. Do you know much about that? And I think Brendon said text me and he had a number, Brendon Burchard as well. Like, what is that about? Do you do that? What do you think about that?
Yeah, so I mean, it's a very simple model. I mean, we use it for our support, for example. So we have a common text message that many of our clients have access to that are on support, and they can text message, and ultimately, when they get a response back, it is from our support team. Now, we can definitely model that so that it's coming from one person, or we can label it so that it could be coming from me, or it could be coming from any one of our team members. That's something that can be done from the technical side of things. But the reality is that, if you're trying to respond to messages, and especially thousands or maybe even millions in some cases at scale, it's kind of going to be, it's challenging for one person to get back to everyone. So as long as that is,
that's not
that is
authentic then. Like, I don't understand.
Of course, you have to be open, right?
They're trying to get your cell phone number, right? That's the plan.
Yeah. So the thing is, that's the perception that sometimes some of the marketing actually gives out. Okay, that, text me at this number, and the user is thinking that they're texting that specific individual. I mean, obviously, that's a gray area of marketing where where you're trying to hide exactly what's happening in the back end.
Yeah, I doubt Brendon Burchard is doing that. Maybe that was just a dream. I can't see him doing that. I can't see him doing that.
Yes, we'll have to ask him.
Yeah, we will.
We'll have to ask him in our next session. So.
Yeah, or in person in July. You'll be there, right?
Next month. Yeah, I'll be there on 29th. 29th, 30th?
It's going fast. I don't know. It's in my calendar, though. It'll be good to see you in real life.
That's right.
We've learned a lot. Okay, we've learned a lot. What else did you want to teach today? Anything else?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of things that we can, dig deep into, but I think that, if you're coming out of this, you have to understand that whatever solutions you're implementing, think about your customer first. Think about
Yes.
the experience that you're trying to deliver to your audience and to your customer, and try to model the best experience that you can deliver using the systems and that you have in place and the systems that you can apply to make that experience valuable. Um,
And
so at the end of the
remember,
day, sorry,
you're not your ideal customer. Like a lot of people, they
that's
design
right.
things based on like, well, I would like to get this text message, or I would like whatever. And it's,
Yeah.
unless you're your ideal client, then you need to really put on your customer hat. I think that needs to be said over
Absolutely.
and over again in marketing. People
Yeah.
forget it all the time.
Absolutely. And the thing is, the use of systems is extremely important because that is what allows you to scale your business and your services. So you have to make sure that you're using a scalable platform, a scalable system that can actually accommodate the vision that you are trying to achieve and help you go in that direction.
So you wanted to talk about this now because you said that a lot of people are focusing on the wrong thing. They're focusing on a lot of noise. And what is that noise and what are those wrong things? I know the right thing is having a system in place, converting as many website visitors or visitors to anywhere into leads and converting the leads through automated follow up, delivering value into customers. What is the not important distractions and noise and things that you find people are wasting a lot of time on?
I think you and I both know that a lot of times as business owners, we sometimes tend to work in the business rather than on the business, and this is one of the fundamental mistakes that any entrepreneur can make. And it is basically you're going downhill from there. I mean, you have to make sure that you are making the best use of your time and you're spending your efforts creating those systems, managing people, and ultimately trying to reach the vision that you have. If you start working in the business and you're trying to get into different departments and you're trying to do the legwork there, and basically, it's going to really um, take your time away. And time is the scarcest and the most valuable resource that you have, and you have to make sure that you're basically applying strategies that can help you amplify your time, empowering your team members, delegating the right tasks, incorporating systems, making sure that you're doing the right kind of marketing, investing in marketing rather than thinking of marketing as an expense. Think of it as an investment, because without marketing and without innovation, you don't have a business. So you
If
have to think about those models.
if anyone out there listening or watching thinks that marketing is an expense and you're not making a massive positive return on your investment, you're doing it wrong. Like it should be a huge return on investment and it should go up every single month, right? Look at your marketing report every month, look at how you can improve, and every month you should be making more in terms of like 1800% return on investment. But I want to make really clear that in a lot of the businesses, we don't even have to spend money on paid ads or paid strategies other than our CRM and our automation and things like that. But organic work on Google, organic website work, having the services that you guys do, the time people spend needs to also be accounted for as a cost. So a lot of people think they're not spending too much money on marketing, but they don't realize that their assistant is spending 30 hours a week on Facebook. And how much money have you made on Facebook lately? So
Right.
just really important. I think that's going to be my quick tip for today. Like my big takeaway is just, if you're not tracking every month what is working and what is not, and making improvements based on that data, you're not making data-driven decisions and improvements, and your marketing is not an investment that pays you dividends, like multiple, like a 1800% return on investment is low for one of my companies. So
Hmm.
if you're not getting that, you have a problem. You are distracted. You are too spread out. You are not being strategic. Maybe you don't have a marketing plan. Maybe you don't have the system in place that Mandeep was talking about. So you need to focus, and you need to definitely do that monthly marketing report and get a positive return on your marketing investment, time and money. What is
That's right.
what's the biggest thing you want to teach them? Or what did you want to
Well,
add there? Sorry.
I was going to say that data doesn't lie, right? I mean, so tracking everything is extremely important, and I think that's the takeaway that I would would like to give to the audience here today is that you have to make sure that you're measuring your metrics, but also measure the metrics that matter, not necessarily everything, those metrics that actually create an impact in your business. Because you can actually get paralyzed with all kinds of data that comes through from your marketing strategy. So you have to make sure that you're actually measuring what matters.
Yes.
And I believe that what really creates an impact in every business is the leads that do come in, is the conversions that are happening, the quality of the leads as well, not necessarily the number of people contacting you, but how interested are they in your services, right? And what is that close rate once you do the follow up with them? There's also other studies that have shown that if you cannot get back to your lead within the first 10-15 minutes, then you've lost that lead. I mean, they're on to the next competitor and so forth. So you have to make sure you're getting back to your leads on a timely basis. And all these factors impact your business growth. So you have to understand, okay, what is it that you're measure what matters, and ultimately focus your strategy on what creates the most impact.
So when you were talking about growing your business and thinking outside the web and digital space, you're talking about the entire customer journey from first awareness to transaction. That was what you're trying to get us to, like, kind of get out of the forest a little bit and focus on the big picture and making sure that you've got the system that helps you do that.
True. And I would like to just, think beyond the transaction as well, because you see, the thing is that once you have a transaction that happens with a customer, chances are they're more likely to buy from you afterwards as well. So you have to continue that experience. So it's not necessarily a funnel. It's more like a flywheel where you're actually kind of going in circles, and you're trying to optimize, and you're trying to continue the services and continue to engage with your prospects as well as your customers. It's just that your messaging has to be unique to customers, and your messaging has to be unique to prospects, because they're at a different stage from your customer journey.
So what's your favorite CRM?
So my favorite, I have a few favorites, but there's a few different platforms out there that we normally recommend. I mean, we've utilized a number of different platforms that are out there, and we also have partnered with companies like HubSpot as well as SharpSpring. We do like the power that HubSpot brings overall, but it can get a little bit expensive in certain areas for certain kinds of businesses. SharpSpring is another platform that we've used. It's not necessarily a CRM per se, but it actually has a lot of power when it comes to the marketing automation side of things.
Okay.
And recently it was acquired by Constant Contact. So there's a lot of innovation that is coming into those platforms. And I'm a big believer that a system is only as good as you use it, right? So you can invest. If you have current systems, don't necessarily think about switching your systems right away. Think about what is it that you're actually utilizing in your current system effectively, and see if that system can accommodate what you're trying to achieve, the necessary goals that can propel your business forward. But do not discount the fact that there are some really good systems out there that can help you grow massively.
Yeah. And I think just one thing I'd add to that is, like, draw out your customer journey from top to bottom. Like, hang a big white piece of paper on the wall and climb a ladder if you have to, but make sure that you look at every single step of the process before you pick a system, and really identify the characteristics, the way that they think, their demographics, where they are, what they want, the words that they're searching, before you pick something and just start. Because, marketing is experimentation, right? Like, I think Brendan called it the scientific method a few months ago. It's basically, we're trying something, we're collecting data, and we're testing a hypothesis and seeing if it's true. But I always tell people, make data-driven decisions. So even if you're going to try something new, you still have to go find as much data as possible, maybe from someone else who's used it, or studies, like not primary research, but secondary research, or check your network. Like, I would send you a message and say, hey, have you had experience with this? But don't just buy the first CRM that you watch a demo of, because remember, they're really good at demoing those CRMs, but I can't tell you how many business owners I've met that have spent so much money and they're not using it at all. They're using like the checkout part of the program. That's it. And it's so expensive. So make sure that you guys think through that big whole process, or get someone experienced and good enough to help you do that, like Munib and his team. And so, Munib, does this mean that I need to stop emailing you and texting you, or am I just emailing and texting somebody else, the fake Munib?
No, you are actually you.
I got your
You
real
have.
number.
That's right. Yes,
You
you have
called me.
our
That
real
was your
number.
accident. That was your mistake.
That's
Awesome.
right.
Well, thank you for being here and for being awake. When you said time was the most precious resource, I almost laughed because I was thinking sleep is probably your most precious resource right now. So I hope you have a good sleep tonight. And thank you so much for coming on and for teaching our listeners and people who are watching how to think about the business in a different way. That's really going to help them. Really going to help them improve and be sustainable and profitable. It's the whole goal here, right? Because there's just so many businesses out there that are failing or struggling, or they're still around but they're not doing that well, and that's not fun for anybody. So thank you. Appreciate
Well, thank
you
you so much. Yeah, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure here to discuss and educate the audience here. So
And I hope it's streamed properly on your LinkedIn. I think you have a lot more engagement on your LinkedIn than I do. So
I hope so. I mean, if not, I'll definitely go ahead and share this as well. So
cool. Awesome. It was so nice to see you, and we'll talk to you really soon, I'm sure.
take care.
Thanks, Munib. Bye-bye.